Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. Today's video is going to be totally different. I'm going to be working out with and chatting with one of my clients. There's a pretty cool twist to his story, so stay tuned for that. Alright guys, so this is Brody. Super busy guy, mid-40s, super busy career. As you can tell from the shirt, spin instructor as well. We've been training together for a couple months, and for better or for worse, you know, his busy life sort of takes over sometimes, and we haven't trained very much recently. But there's a lot that goes into Brody's story and sort of his goals and reasons for training, as well as how he's navigating through, you know, challenges of his career and so on. And then there's one significant challenge that he's also dealing with. So, Brody, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing to be here.
So tell us a little bit about sort of your background and your reasons for training and, you know, your reasons for wanting to change your physique.
I used to be a professional athlete for many years.
Right.
And, you know, being a professional athlete, you looked a certain way, you felt a certain way.
Right.
And, you know, when I got into my professional career that has nothing to do with being an athlete,
Right.
because of something that we'll talk about later, things changed. My body changed, the way that I feel changed, and so that's why in my 40s I was like, I gotta make a change now, because, you know, I always hear that people talk about 50s being, oh, it's time to start slowing down. But we're just now beginning at 50,
Right.
and by the time I reach 50, I want to be ready for it.
All right. So Brody, you mentioned being a former professional athlete, and yes, you know, I sort of introduced that you have a super busy career, spin instructor, and so on. Tell us a little bit more about what all of that looks like.
Sure. So everything started when I was 18 years old, when I became a professional soccer player.
Right.
And I went through all the different leagues that the United States have, all the way up to the MLS. I even went over to Japan and played in the J League. And after that, I decided, well, not even after, it was I wanted to take a break and join the military. So I went into the Marine Corps,
Right.
which was amazing and fun. I wish I was still in it sometimes. I went back to playing, and you know, and then after that, I knew that soccer wasn't always going to be there for me.
Right.
And I needed to make a change, because that's a smart thing to do. You got to have a backup plan. At the time that I was playing soccer, we weren't making money like the MLS makes today.
Right.
So that's when I got into being a pilot.
Right.
And I became a helicopter pilot, which is what I do now.
Right.
And of course, then I married a redhead who's out of control, businesswoman, and she decided to open up a spin studio.
Right.
And said, "You're going to be an instructor."
And I've only been to one class because I don't do cardio.
and I wish I can only go to one class, because I don't like cardio anymore. But it is a lot of fun, and we are changing lives at our business called Island Ride, and it's a lot of fun.
So, you know, thanks, Brody. We haven't trained together for a couple of months because something pretty much just took Brody out of the fitness picture for a while. So, Brody, what is it? What has been the issue, the challenge with getting into training?
It is gout. Something that I first realized I had when I was 19 years old and was misdiagnosed for the longest time, and to the point to where it got out of control. And now I have I have tophaceous gout, which is at a very high level. It can be very painful to the point to where I can't walk. Sometimes I'll get it in my hands. As a former professional athlete, as a Marine, to have something like this take you out, the mental part of it is another aspect of gout.
You know, Brody has a real challenge with this. You know, you just imagine you're not able to, you know, button a button, but somebody would, you know, ask you to hold a dumbbell. So, you know, grip strength is going to be an issue if he's going through a flare or just coming out of a flare. Things like joint range of motion is also an issue, and so we focus a lot on, you know, really perfecting form to minimize impact on Brody's joints. And just a whole range of challenges that we go through, you know, as we go through our training session. And, you know, take it a step further, we all know that your training and your nutrition have to, you know, come together. The two things need to be aligned for you to progress in the direction that you want to. But the reality is, again, you know, gout has some triggers in the form of food. So different foods can increase your likelihood of getting an attack or a flare. So Brody, tell us a little bit more about the foods that you know that trigger your flare.
That's right. So for me, we know that any meat products that has, you know, I can have chicken in a moderate way. Even seafood can trigger everything. Another thing for me that is really hard is the medicines that I have to take for my gout.
Right.
Sometimes causes flare-ups. And not only that, it causes weight gain, which causes flare-ups. Right? And even weight loss will cause flare-ups. So there's a lot.
It's a magical, terrible storm. I mean, we're talking about challenges with training, like even holding dumbbells and being able to do the movement. We're talking about not being able to perfectly optimize your nutrition because things are going to trigger a flare, and then medications that probably cause you to gain weight, and so you're sort of going backwards in your fitness journey as you're taking medication, and then you're knocked down by a flare and you're out of the gym. So we're talking about huge challenges that we're coping with and going through. But our ultimate goal still remains the same. I mean, the journey to get there might be a little bit longer. I mean, we're in our 40s. Nothing happens overnight regardless. But, Brody's committed to the journey. I'm committed to helping him along the journey. And so we're moving forward. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it for today's video. But we're going to do a workout now. And we're going to record it. We're going to film it so that we can bring you guys the video, the result. In that video, we'll sort of go through some exercises and some of the adaptations that we have to make, in training with Brody. But as usual, guys, if you liked the video, if you found this to be informative, give it a thumbs up. As usual, I encourage you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get the notifications for each week's video, particularly for the next one where Brody and I are going to be training. But until the next video, guys, aloha from Kauai.